Hi again, everyone. I'm olliemathews. This is Societal Narcissism, and this video is sponsored by contribution from Blue Columbine. And she sent in an audio file. It's about 43 minutes long. So here we go.
Hi, Ollie. Hi, everybody listening. This is Blue Columbine. I'm going to put in, this is part 3 of my story. So the last one was titled Societal Narcissism, the Baby Boomer Enjoys Their Degeneracy. So what happened where I left off was I had to move out immediately, right? So I actually ended up going to my parents' house, and at that time I was working 2 jobs, and so I was pulling like 12-hour days. And so I went over there, and I had initially kind of moved some stuff, but then I was waiting for Sunday to be able to go back over there and move some stuff, because he used to go visit his brother for his brother used to take him out to lunch on Sundays. So I wanted to go over there and move stuff when nobody was there. So we went the first Sunday, and we took a load. I remember when we were there, it was like my dad, it was just me and my dad, and he had this really bad attitude about it. Like, it was like so much that he was doing for me, and it was like, oh, make sure you get everything, because I'm only going to do this one time for you.
Yeah, that's typical of the boomer. They act like they're doing you a favor, and they berate you the entire time. See, this is why you don't like, especially me, I don't like going to people for help. Because then when you really need it, this is what you get. You get berated, you get insulted, and it's never worth it. It's never worth it.
And I was like, no, I think that there's going to have to be a second trip, because I'm not going to be able to fit everything in one trip. It just, it is what it is. And he just was kind of a grump. And like, I remember there's this chest. I had this chest. It was actually it was an antique. It was like a Chinese medicine cabinet thing. And it had really fragile legs. And I was asking him while we were moving it if he could be really delicate with it and make sure to not push it on its feet. And I remember telling him that as we were putting it down into the truck. And when I said that, he looked at me and he pushed it. He scooted it, and it broke its leg. And I just remember that, it was almost like, how dare you tell me how I'm going to move stuff? I'm already coming here and helping you.
Exactly. And he has no respect for your possessions anyway. No boomer does. No narcissist does. But your possessions are nothing. They're there to be broken if they feel like it. If you're going to tell me to protect be careful. Oh, no. Now you're definitely, what are you going to do about it? Now you're definitely going to watch me break this. And what are you going to do about it?
And I'm not going to be delicate about the way that I do everything, because I'm already coming over here on my free time, and you're here at my house, and I'm already doing so much for you. It was really it was so weird. I just remember the look that he gave me after I told him, hey, try not to push it or scoot it because of the leg, and because, it's fragile. And he looked at me like, no, you don't tell me what to do. And he did that on purpose. And then he was like, oh, well, I didn't do it on purpose. Well, this is just, what we have to do. And almost like I wasn't even allowed to say anything about it. And it's not like I was freaking out about it or anything, but I was like, dude, I just told you not to do that. Now it's broken. And then it was like, I'm the asshole now for complaining while he's there helping me. So
Exactly. Exactly. That's why it's never worth it. It's never worth it. It's not. Because you're going to have to pay your penance. You're going to have to pay your penance to them. They're going to do what they want. They're going to disrespect you. They're going to blame you for being in the position you're in the first place. And you should just be thankful I'm doing anything. That's the attitude.
now he's mad at me because I'm ungrateful, right? And it was just, he had this really bad attitude, and he was just making comments about the stuff that I had or whatever, and the state of the house, which it's like, well, yeah, that's why I didn't want to be here to begin with, but you didn't listen to me then, but now you're going to complain the first time that you ever set foot in here, So we loaded up, he brought his trailer, so we loaded that up, and we went back home, and I kind of had like, I had some stuff that I had taken out and I kind of put on the porch. I was kind of trying to go through stuff because I didn't really have, we didn't pack things. We didn't get moving boxes. We had random different size boxes that I grabbed from work that were, you know, we didn't have stuff to pack stuff in. Like I had my, like some of the stuff that was like breakable, I would just wrap it in my clothes or towels or something. So it was really haphazardly done. And I was trying to go through some of the stuff and get out some of the things that I might use. I had some stuff on the front porch, you know, that I wanted to be able to take it to use. And I really wasn't able to put it anywhere because my parents, like my mom had a lot of her stuff in the downstairs area where they were letting me like sleep, which is funny. I say it that way. They were letting me sleep. It's like my old bedroom. And I wasn't able to like bring my stuff inside. So they were like in boxes down there and they still had all of their stuff. Like there was like a little like kitchenette and it was just full of my mom's stuff, so I couldn't really like use anything or put anything away, but some of the stuff that I used normally was there, and like I had some food that I didn't want to get like mixed in with my storage stuff that I needed to put away too. And at one point I looked at my mom's phone and she had been talking to one of her friends and sending her pictures of my boxes and on the front porch and making fun of me, kind of calling me a hoarder, which is ridiculous because, I mean, anytime
she's building a narrative. That's what boomers do. They build narratives. So when they're ready to fuck you over, like, oh, you remember those boxes? You remember how she's hoarding? This is what she does. This is what she does. This is why she can't stay here. This is why. This is what they do. They build narratives so they can, when they fuck you over later, they can go point back to it to everyone else for their justification.
Somebody moves, if their stuff is all piled together in one place, I mean, it looks like a pile of stuff. Like, it's not organized. That's because it doesn't have a place to go. Like, my mom has so much stuff and she's calling me out for that, but it's like, where am I going to put anything, you know? And it's just frustrating because she's pointing out like, oh, look at her stuff piled all over the ground. And it's like, well, if I had somewhere to put it off of the ground, I would prefer that. But you're not like allotting me any space. So it's on the ground. And now you're like acting like it's spilling over onto the ground. Like she almost kind of made it seem like she had cleared a space and I was all over, like, you know, but it was just, and it was literally.
Yeah, they blow everything out of proportion. They exaggerate, they lie, they blow it out of proportion. It's to make you uneasy right from the start. Right from the get, they want to put you back on eggshells. Second you're back in the door, you know, because they know you're weak, they know you're vulnerable, and you're in a bad position. It's unbelievable the shit you put up with when you're in a bad position.
Days, you know, it's like, here there's this big life event going on for me and she has to go behind my back and make fun of me for it. But that was really frustrating. And
wasn't really behind your back because you knew about it. It's not really behind your back because you knew about it. She wanted you to think it was behind your back, but she did it so you'd know about it.
So anyways, I was working, and then I had this other job that I picked up that I would go to after work. So I was working really, really late, and I would come home and in the morning. So my parents, they have like a 3-story house, and they always use the kitchen that's like the main kitchen on the middle floor. But there's like a small like kitchen on the basement where I was at. And what they would do is every single morning they would go downstairs, and my dad would make a blender at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Kind of like how my mother would come and start vacuuming, like at 6, 7 in the morning to wake you up. Yeah, that's called a daughter kitchen, actually, funnily enough. When you have a main one and then you kind of have like a kitchenette, it's like a mother-daughter. That's what, at least that's what it was called up north.
And they would go down there and make eggs and make breakfast way, 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 way early so that my dad could leave at like 4:35, 5 a.m., And it's just like, it was frustrating because I was coming home super late, you know, and I want to sleep in as long as I can. And I'm, you know, they're waking me up. So I wasn't getting amped.
Sleep, they love, and that's something I have talked about for years, how they love fucking with your sleep, especially when they know you're working late. They do it especially if you're out partying every night and they come in and do that trying to like prove a point or wake you up. That's one thing, but that's not when they do it. They do it when you've been working all night. They do it when you're legitimately tired. That's when they do it.
Sleep. I wasn't eating really well because, I mean, like, kind of my food was kind of dysfunctional anyways, because when I was over at that house that I was renting, things were so just chaotic and uncomfortable and just not okay in the common areas that I didn't want to cook at home. Things just got really it wasn't like functioning like a normal house, and I wasn't using the kitchen as much. So when I came over to my parents' house, I was kind of in that habit, you know, I'm kind of like in this survival mode where, you know, I just get food out of the house because, you know, I don't want to be like in the kitchen or something. And that's, I also like to keep a lot of food around, especially like in my room or in my car or somewhere like in a private space, because I've dealt with that a lot with my mother and in different living situations where things become so like hyper tense that I don't feel safe in the kitchen. I don't feel safe preparing food.
Right, I understand that, but on the other hand, leaving food in your car and in your room, I understand why you're doing it, is going to let them label, put that hoarder label on you, which is what they want, which is why they're making it difficult for you in the first place. So you'll have to do these things to protect yourself that then they can then turn around and use against you.
It's an issue that I still kind of deal with. When I go into common areas, I get really tense. Even when I'm at somebody else's house, if I'm in the kitchen and they're really close to me, I get really, really nervous. If somebody's standing around in the kitchen doing something and I want to get coffee or something, I'll wait until they kind of walk away for me to go up. And it's not because I'm antisocial. It's because I'm, I guess you could say, like, avoidant because, like, of my PTSD. It's just like I found that those common areas of the house become like war zones, you know, and I just avoid it altogether. But
Right, you become cognizant of where in the house shit goes down. Like I talked about, you know, in my house, you know, you had tribal council back in the back den, okay, where you had to fucking stand there in the doorway while fucking meat is sitting over here, fucking drunkies on the couch over there, half drunk, and you got to stand there for fucking 2 hours fighting off tribal council, trying to defend yourself.
because of that, I wasn't cooking at home. I was already in the habit of like eating in private, you know, and eating away from the house and getting fast food, you know. And so as I was saying, they would prepare their breakfast every single morning down there, and I was gone all day. So it's not like I was doing a whole lot of like I wasn't doing any cooking. And the reason why I'm going over this so much is that at some point my mom like freaks out at me and is telling me that I need to clean the kitchen. And I'm like, I haven't made a single meal. Like, I've been here a week. I've been working 2 jobs. I've been, you know, eating out pretty much for all of my meals and like having snacks or like doing fast food or like having snacks. Like, I'm not like cooking stuff in the kitchen. I'm not using the kitchen. So whatever dishes there are here, whatever mess there is, it's from you guys because you guys use this kitchen every single day. And I know because it wakes me up every morning. And it was like, she went on to this thing where she was telling me that I've been living in squalor, and because I'm so used to living in somewhere that is filthy, I don't even notice it, and I brought it there or something. Something like I brought it with me, like, and she's referencing, I bet my dad told her how fucked up that house.
Sorry, I didn't have my mic on. What I just said was, even if you are living in squalor, okay, and it might be true, but why would that be true? Why would that be true that you're living in squalor? Because they won't help you. They're spending their money on cabins and boats and Winnebagos and fucking nut huggers and spandex and all this other fucking guitars and everything else, creating the situation where you don't have any choice. The boomer, they will put you in a situation and then blame you for being in it. It's unbelievable.
Was, and now she's using that against me with their own mess. And it was just really frustrating because it's like, it's expensive to have to eat.
Well, that's part of the reason why they're doing it. They're doing it so they can create the narrative. And it's for who's the narrative for? The narrative's for their friends and their families, so they could explain why they had to kick you out again, or why they had to do whatever they had to do next time.
Outside of the house. But I do it so that I can avoid crap like this, and I still have to deal with it, And I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I have to go to work. And this is another thing that she used to do. She always used to do this, is that she used to make stuff right before I had to leave, because she's trying to make me late is what she's trying to do. And I'm like, you know what? I have to go. I can't deal with this right now. When I get home, I can clean the kitchen. I don't know what to tell you. And she turned that into a big old issue. And then they got all mad at me about, they were like, oh, there's a box of your shit down at the bottom of the hill by the trailers, because they used to have these shipping containers full of my mom's junk. And they said it just like that. There's a box.
Wait, there's shipping containers on their property with junk? So who's the hoarder here? Who are the hoarders here? See, all they're doing is projecting their own bullshit on you. That's all you are to them, is a scapegoat to project their own nonsense.
Of your shit, and it's all over down there. And I went down there, and sure enough, there was a box of food, of some of my food that I had taken from the pantry at my old house. And I thought I put it on the porch, and I looked for whatever food that I had to put in. They had like what do you call it? Like a furnace room. And they kind of use it as like a food pantry type. And I wanted to put whatever I could find in there, but, I kind of found everything. But there's this box. I didn't bring it down there. And so I'm asking them, I'm like, and it looked like it was thrown down. Like I said, these boxes, they weren't like moving boxes at all. And this one was like a box that I think I got like some odd boxes at like a liquor store or something. I would just try to pick them up places from work or places or whatever. And it was just open on the top. Like the parts were like folded in on the top, and then it would look like it wasn't set down. It looked like it was just like thrown down because it was like on its side. And there's this food that, I just don't understand why it was down there, because I didn't bring it down there. And it must have been that someone like my mom or something wanted to bring my stuff on the porch down into the storage container or something. I don't know. But I asked them, I was like, okay, well, I didn't know it was down there. I'll clean it up, but I didn't know it was down there. I'm not too happy about my stuff being, tossed down there without my knowledge. And now, some of the stuff is not going to be usable, and it would be okay if I was able to bring it straight inside, which I would have done. And I asked him, I was like, did one of you guys bring that box down there? And my dad's like, I don't know. You got your shit all over the place. I moved so many boxes, and I can't keep track.
This reaction. They're yelling at you when he really wants to be yelling at your mother and himself. You gotta stop being these boomer scapegoats, because that's all they do, is they project all of their fucking bullshit on you. And they make you the root of all their problems, while compounding yours and making yours worse, so you can never get out of your own goddamn way.
And it's like, oh, I don't have to remember, because you have so much shit. You have so many boxes. And it's like, okay, but who brought this single box down all the way down to the bottom of the hill and threw it down there? I don't remember. I moved so many of your boxes and all your shit. And it's like, they can't be expected to even remember what they do, because it's my problem, because I have so many boxes. It's like, I don't know. I didn't get it. I thought that was...
They know what they're doing. It's not that they don't remember. He looks around, he sees those trailers, he sees your mother's shit, and they're like, oh, it's the boxes. It's these, it's that. It's not.
really stupid. And I was like, okay, this is really frustrating and whatever. So there was the kitchen, like the cleaning the kitchen issue. And then there was this like box of some of my kitchen stuff that was at the bottom of the hill. And they had an issue with that. And then when it came to the next Sunday, I wanted to be able to move. I wanted to be able to get a second trip. Oh, no, this is what, hey, hang on a second. Let me backtrack a little bit. Okay. So I think it was on Friday for Saturday. Okay. That weekend, my dad, he had to use his trailer because his band had a gig. So I had to unload his trailer. So I put a tarp on the ground and I took all the stuff and I just put it right there on the ground on a tarp. Cause it was like dirt, right? And, he used the trailer. And then the next day it was on Sunday. I wanted to go over and do a second trip and get the rest out. And that way I'm completely done. And it was kind of like, there were certain things like, for example, I ended up, using some of the garage as like storage. And I had brought in, I moved out of I used to have a storage unit and I moved out and I had like a really sturdy workbench and I had like a garage shelving and I put that in there so that I could like stack my boxes on there and stuff like that. And that was still there. And my dad really wanted me to get into another storage unit. And I, first of all, really didn't want to do that because I had just gotten out of a storage unit and it's expensive just for a small one. It's like $100 a month. And I'd rather be able to, they had some property, they had acreage. If I was able to get like a shipping container, like they have fucking 5 of them, or even, just
5 shipping containers they have on a property with acreage already. And he wants you to get a storage unit. They set you up to fail. The boomer parents set you up to fail, and they get off on it.
Shed or something, I could be making payments on that and own it. I didn't want to deal with having to pay for a storage unit. And the thing is that if you miss a payment on those things, they get you with the late fees. The late fees are incredible and they're not forgiving at all at those places. So I was like really concerned about getting into a storage unit again because I wanted to put my money towards something that I would eventually own. And I wanted to just look into that before we, jumped into something that I might end up with for, years. Because that's how those things happen is you think, oh, I'm just going to do it for a little bit. And years later, you're still paying on that thing. And so I kind of was trying to talk to him about that. But he was just, that's what he wanted to do. And one of my things was, even if we were going to go and put my stuff in the storage unit, I wanted to get my shelving. That way, when I put my stuff in my storage, it's accessible. And I was trying to explain these things to my dad. And so, like on Sunday, right? My dad really just wanted me to get all the stuff off of the ground and put it back into the trailer. And he wanted to go straight to the storage unit place and put my stuff in there. And that would be that. And I was like, look, I understand that you want to get my stuff off of the ground and into a storage unit, but I want to first, while it's a Sunday, while it's, I'm just now moving out. I don't want to wait and not be able to go back with somebody. I don't want to wait and not be able to go back. I want to go back now and be able to get the rest of my stuff and be able to get like some of my shelving and everything like that. We can move that load first. And then what I wanted to do is have a little bit of time to repack my things so that they would stack the right way, get the right boxes, pack things the right way, I wanted to figure out what I was going to do in my living situation. What did I need to pack? What did I need to keep out? Like, I didn't know. I didn't even pack in a way that I was thinking about what I was using or not. That's why I wanted to go through it. I just put everything in boxes like quickly, and so that was something that I really wanted to do. And the way that I talked to him was just like the way that I said it. I said, look, I understand that you want to go and get all this stuff off the ground, but this is what I need to do. This is the way that I want to do it. I want to get the rest of that stuff first, and then we can deal with this. I was just advocating for myself, for my needs, what my preference was, and I wasn't raising my voice at all. I was just, look, this is really what I need right now. And this guy, I've never seen this kind of rage before. I mean, he freaked out just from me.
Yeah, that's what meat does. That's what my father does. When you back him into a corner and you make your point, that's when the fucking rage switch goes on him. And it's an intimidation tactic. It's just to get you to shut up and comply.
Stating my preferences. It turned him, he spiraled out of control, screaming at me, calling me an ungrateful piece of shit. He calling me a bitch, saying that I need to get the fuck out of his house, and he doesn't care to help me anymore because I'm just a little, ungrateful bitch. And that and I was telling him, I'm like, Dad, I don't know where I'm gonna go. I have nowhere to go. What do you expect me to do? And he's like, well, I guess you better go get married. And that was just his answer. And I guess he was so pissed off, he just took off. I ended up, I was really upset myself. I kind of was in shock. I was kind of trying to get my stuff together and go through my stuff a little bit. And then I called a friend of mine that, that same area, that rental property that I looked at, that was kind of like up in the mountains. I said that I had met someone recently that moved up there, and I went up to visit them, and I was in like total shock about what happened. I was just trying to get back on my feet and figure things out, and then it was just all blown back into my face. And I actually was talking to this person about it, and they had recently inherited this property, and I guess they weren't fully living there yet, and they were going to be traveling long term, so the house was going to be empty for some time. So we worked out a deal where I would be taking care of the property and looking over the property, and they still had all their stuff in there, but I had to upkeep it, and I would pay a rent, but it was affordable for, me being alone, especially. So, I went into that, basically because of the situation. I wasn't really able to move my stuff in there because it wasn't like supposed to be like a long-term thing. And because, like I said, that person, they had all of their stuff in there and everything, and I wasn't really supposed to change anything. So, we ended up just throwing all my stuff in storage. I think my dad ended up bringing all my stuff into storage. They just opened the account, and they just wanted it off their property, and they wanted me off their property.
Yeah, they want you off their property because somehow you mess up their. Never go to them when you really need them, because this is what happens. This is what happens every time. And it sucks. It does. It sucks.
Stay there at all after that. And when I went to this other place, the first day that I was going to go over there to stay, they were packing up to leave. And I had parked behind them, and they had to leave. Wait, no, what was it? No, I was parked in front of them. Yeah, I was parked in front of them, and they had to leave. And I had to leave. Yes, sorry. I'm sorry. I get so confused. There's so many details to these stories that it's so complicated sometimes. No, I was parked in front. They were parked behind me, and I had to leave. So they had to move their car. They were packing, okay? They had just bought like a brand new off the sales floor Tesla, okay? So they're packing it.
Which shipping container are they going to put that in? Jesus.
And all their doors are open, and I have to leave. And so I asked this person to move their car, and they're like, okay. And I thought that they were going to shut the doors, and then they didn't. And I was like, well, maybe they'll just inch back a little bit or over to the side a little bit. And they just like hit the gas in reverse, and just like, if you've ever seen the movie Tommy Boy, where he's at the gas pump, and the door, basically the door, goes all the way open to where it like breaks.
What did you do? Yes, seen Tommy Boy.
The opposite way, and because he like hit this pole that like went onto the fence where the gate was, and it put the door all the way on the other side. So it was a brand new Tesla, and just got the whole door wrecked.
Sure, that's your fault too. I'm sure it's your fault too.
In like a matter of 10 seconds. It was pretty freaking crazy. And I don't know, it was really intense. I left. When I came back, they were gone. When I took over that kind of staying there, I used to have a bunch of pictures of a lot of things that happened, but my phone got in some water, and I lost a bunch of stuff. But when I moved in, I'll just describe it to you. When I moved into this place, there was like on all the mirrors, like writing, and there's all this weird stuff. Like I keep on saying they, and there's a reason for that. So when I first met them, they had introduced themselves to me with a male name. I thought that they were male. They were presented male, and they kind of dressed male. They spoke male, kind of tall person. I thought that it was a male, but then I'll explain later. But this, at the beginning, I'm like, oh, this is a guy, like whatever, But when they ended up coming back, they used a different name and started, and it was difficult for me because I didn't know what to do exactly. And I tried to be like accommodating, but I don't know, I guess that person felt that they were being attacked, but I didn't know, I didn't know. Anyways, so
there's no winning with the alphabet people, unfortunately.
That's the reason why I might say they, is it gets confusing for me because at this time in the story, this person is a he. And I would like to be able to use the different names, but I would have to change the names and it would get confusing. And especially with this person changing their name, it would get even more confusing. So that's kind of with the pronouns, what's going on. But I might switch to he at some points because back then it was. So they had, I don't know, he had to kind of talk to me about, told me like some crazy stuff about himself. It seemed really far out. He was telling me that he was like in some Tesla rally team or something, and I kind of thought that was, honestly I didn't fully believe it, but I just kind of went along because it's like, because the situation, I wanted to be able to see if I could stay there, and that's what I was trying to do. And I'm not going to tell this person to his face that I think he's nuts, But
do you see the situation that you have to keep putting yourself in because of you're going to this person, you don't know what they identify at, it changes, you think they're already mentally nuts. But here's another bad situation that you're going to get yourself in, like the guy that you had to get out where he's taking pictures and stalking girls. It's one bad situation after the next, which is what your parents really want for you.
It's very, very clear signs of some serious mental illness, writing on the mirrors. And there was one thing that I remember, and this is kind of why I brought up the rally team thing, is there was something that I saw on one of the mirrors when I first moved in, that it was these different names and these different personas that were written out. And one of them was the name that he introduced himself as, and one of the things within that was the rally car driver, and maybe this is his male identity, and then there was the different name that he ended up using later, and kind of oh, who is this person, what do they do, and it's interesting now with all the people that have DID and stuff like that, maybe this was something like that going on, but I wasn't aware of that. I don't know, I just thought that this person was making things up or nuts, or I just didn't know what to think. But no matter what I thought,
they're nuts and they're seeking attention. That's all. And every one of those personalities, if you get it wrong, it's another opportunity for them to berate you over it. It's another power move. That's all it is. You're going from your parents who are moving power moves to this type of, to alphabet people power moves. When you came from the guy, it was just another power move. You keep going to people that are manipulative, people that are just seeking power over you.
I I needed somewhere to go. So I was there. It was cool while nobody was there. Like, I cleaned off the writing on the mirrors because I thought it tripped me out, and it made me feel like I was in like a crack house or like like a crazy person or something. So I got rid of that, and like I just tried to like clean things up. Obviously I couldn't like rearrange anything, but just like have things clean. And I had kind of my private sanctuary for a while. That place was really man, that place really was like a place of rest, and having that time to myself by
It's kind of sad that you got to go to a place like that for a place of rest.
myself. I started just having a lot of memories come back to me about my life, about my childhood. I started seeing really the full picture, and that's kind of when I started to wake up to narcissism and all of this and everything. Just kind of re-understanding what happened my whole life. It was kind of a process for me because I was isolated up there. It was 45 minutes out of town, and being on a budget. I wasn't really like going out or anything like that. I was just kind of working and coming home, and I spent a lot of time by myself. And I think that was a very intuitive time of like looking within and looking back through everything. And it was like, I don't know, I just had this new awareness, and it was nice until they ended up coming back. And at this point I had gone kind of low contact with my parents. I still talked to them, but I really didn't want to be around them with just knowing the way that they are. I didn't feel like they were stable. I didn't feel like they supported me or cared at all. And so
Yeah, and they don't. I don't even know what you're talking to them about at this point. What? Every time they have an opportunity to be there for you and act like parents, they fuck you over.
when my roommate came back, it was very interesting because like they would like change their personality, where one day, they'll be talkative and we'll be getting along, and the next day they'll be acting like a totally different person. And then when I'm trying to engage with them in a similar way, it's not working. Like they're like upset with me or something. And I remember he used to start wearing like dresses and skirts and things like that. And like, I'm not at all homophobic. I'm actually bisexual myself. I don't have any like issues with that at all. I just didn't know what that meant, and I was using pronouns of he, his, and I didn't know that was offensive to him. I didn't know that they had their name legally changed and into a female's name. They introduced themselves to me with a completely different name than their birth name or their name that they had their name changed to. And then they like had this attitude with me, like I'm disrespectful for not knowing something that they never told me. And now I kind of...
Don't you see they're just different versions of your parents? Just a younger version on a different mission? That's all. That's all. Just another narcissist trying to keep you on eggshells. That's all it is keeping you on eggshells at all times. Who can live like that?
Understand that the way that you're supposed to go about it is ask the pronouns and stuff, but I don't know, I just feel like they could have just leveled with me and been like, hey, I actually, introduced myself this way, but I'm actually trans, and I would have been super supportive. But instead, like I felt like I was labeled as some kind of like homophobe or something.
Yeah, because it's not about it's about the lecture. It's about being able to put themselves on a pedestal and talk down to you. That's what it all is. That's what they're all about. Whether it's this or your parents or the other guy, that's what they're doing.
Something for misgendering, which is ridiculous because I'm bisexual, and I dealt with my own family.
Doesn't matter. You're a TERF. That means all that means is you're a TERF. You're just a TERF as far as they're concerned. Trans exclusive radical feminist. That's what TERF stands for.
Family being with and the church with their homophobia, and I'm not that person, I'm a safe person, but I feel like this is what's happened is that, and interestingly enough, this individual was actually younger than me. So they were in their early 20s, inherited this property, all this money, and they're absolutely jackass about it. And, playing a victim. And when they ended up, telling me, we ended up talking, because I did end up asking, like, do you want me to, like, call you, something else? Like, do you want, like, because I kind of noticed the tension, and I asked him about it, and, I was able to communicate, but it was like it had to be me, and there was all that time that they were like upset with me for doing something that I didn't know. I didn't know I was doing something wrong, and I feel like this is what's going on with like some of the younger people is like with this whole like misgendering, and I can change my gender, like, and you have to be the one to like change your language and this and that. It's just like there's this culture of victimhood where in order to be like legitimate, or in order to be looked up to, you have to have some type of like story of being oppressed in some kind of way. And he's telling me these things like, oh, living up here in the mountains, I don't want to live up here by myself because I'm afraid, that's why I always have to travel, and I can't stay here long periods of time, is that, up here in the mountains with all these rednecks and everything, like people like me get killed, and I have to fret for my life. And that is just, I'm not saying it's not the case anywhere. I'm saying that where we live, that is not the case.
No, he wants it to be the case. He needs it to be the case so he could stay on that pedestal, so he can keep the narrative going, so he could keep the lecture going. That's what it's about. It's power. It's all this is about power over other people.
Now, there are some extremely bigoted individuals out there in that area. That is true. I mean, there was a guy out there that would brand his cattle with swastikas. There are some disgusting people. I'm not saying that that's not real. But by and large, most people were accepting. I mean, like, I remember, like, talking to the neighbors, and they're like, we don't hate, we're cool. It's just one of the issues is every time I try to talk to the dude or chick or whatever, they can't make a coherent sentence. That seemed to be more of the issue, nobody was targeted up there, he didn't get harassed by anybody, I mean, the worst thing that happened is the neighborhood kids were asking him, like, are you a girl or like what, because he used to go outside wearing a dress, and he's obviously a dude, so, but, it's like the dramatics of it all, it gives...
Right, he just wants to shove it in their face. And then when people ask questions, feign offense. Clutch their pearls.
Them some type of badge of, I don't know, I don't really know the way to say it, and it's like I feel like
it's a golden ticket. It's a golden ticket to abuse. That's what it is. But again, understand why you're in the situation in the first place. It all starts with those boomers.
Always need to like tiptoe around to not come off that way when I'm trying to talk about my lived experiences and like my trauma and things like that. Because I feel like it's really easy to be judged or labeled as, somebody that's just trying to do something for attention or something like that. And it just makes it harder. It like muddies the waters. But, yeah, it was, it got kind of weird we went through the whole like gender thing, and it was an issue, and then we talked about it, and then that was over. But then they kept on going like on these trips, and what would happen is that they would stay in their car. And I didn't mention this, but when they came back from wherever they were, they brought all of this stuff inside, all over the counters. And there was all of this, like, they had dishes and cookware of stuff that they were cooking in their car, of like half rotten food. They would like, I don't know how they would do it, but they would like make bread in their car.
I'm noticing a pattern here that your mother, your parents are obviously hoarders with five storage trailers on their parking lot, the garage, acting how they act. Every living situation you've gotten into after, the old guy was hoarded out, was a mess. This is a mess. It's hoarded out. You're finding different versions of your boomers. That's what you keep gravitating towards, is different versions of of your boomer parents. What's the common denominator? The hoarding.
car, and they would always be making bread at the house too, but they wouldn't use cutting boards and things like that, and they would make bread just on the tile counters and leave like they wouldn't clean up after themselves, and they would always be cooking, but they would do it in a way like even just pouring a glass of juice, this person would be waving their arm around while they're pouring the juice, and it would get all over the counter. And I know that this sounds like exaggerating, but it's not. Everything that they would do would get all over the counters. They would do this thing where they would make a pancake, and I mean a pancake. They would get out all of these stuff. They would get freaking flour all over the counter and make themselves one single pancake and sit down and eat it and not clean up a single thing. And I was working full time, and I would come home, and one of the things that I really like to have a clean kitchen. I feel like it's really unhealthy to be eating food in a situation like that. And if the kitchen is dirty, for me, I won't cook at all. And
well, that's why your parents then kept fucking up the kitchen where you're at, because they knew it drove you crazy, but you weren't the one using it.
So when I'm working full time, what I like to do is I like to really have a clean kitchen over the weekend, and then if I cook during the week, I just wipe it up real quick. But what this person would do is they would get it so dirty while I was gone, and then I would come home and I didn't want to make myself food. And it was really problematic because we live so far up in the mountains, and it just had me resorting to just eating food out of a can, or just having having foods that I consider to be convenience foods.
So even when you're not homeless, you eat like you're homeless. I mean, it's sad. It is. You can't even eat a decent meal in peace.
That are not as healthy and are more expensive, crackers or something that's prepackaged. That's type of stuff. I like to take that to work, but I don't like to eat that stuff while I'm at home because it's just not good. It's not very nutritious, and it just adds up really quickly. And it just sucks because I felt like this person pretended like they were so oppressed, and they've really had all the privileges in the world. And while I'm at work, they're just totally making a mess. I mean, this person used to make salsa and not use a cutting board. And they used to make salsa and not wipe up, and the tomato juice would go all just cool up and just sit there and solidify with all of the what's it called? The flour and all that stuff, and it would cement in. And
yeah, this person likes chaos. They like chaos in their own life. They like causing chaos. They like living in chaos, and they like causing chaos on other people.
And I would try to wipe it up, but then it's I'm tired. I don't want to do this after work. And so every weekend I would deep clean the kitchen, and he would go on these trips, and he would come home, and I would have that kitchen would be clean when they were out of town. Clean. And he would come home one of his trips, going to freaking San Francisco or whatever, this is what this person would do. They would go and play music on the street and pretend to be a bum and take money from people and stuff, and then go and sleep in their Tesla. That's what this person used to do. I'm dead serious. And they used to talk about, I don't know.
He has the Tesla. It wasn't your father's Tesla. He has the Tesla. Well, yeah, rich kid of privilege. Probably never had to do a damn thing their whole life. Had everything handed to them, so they don't appreciate anything. And now it's just give me more, give me more. I'm going to go act like I'm homeless, make money in San Francisco, and sleep in my Tesla. But you know what? If San Francisco people are stupid enough to give them money, all the power to them. All the power to them. I'm not gonna get upset. I'm not gonna get upset that he's scamming a bunch of San Francisco liberals. They voted for it. They want to live like that. Let them have it.
Kind of had this. He thought that he was some type of religious monk or something. He was delusional. Anyways, yeah, he would bring all of these dishes and plates and things of stuff that he was cooking in his car, and pile it up all the way across the kitchen counter. So there's no counter space. It's all this, and he wouldn't even throw the food away, and I would have to come in and deal with it. He wouldn't deal with it at all. And it was so frustrating because I was in the same situation that I had been in, working my ass off, paying somebody for them to live like a sloth. And it butchered my sense of agency, my sense of self-esteem. It was just really awful. And their mental health got worse and worse, where they started just acting really weird. And they were staying at home. They were doing a lot of trips, and then they were staying at home. And they started really getting weird and doing weird stuff where they would like, I would come home and all of the furniture would be like thrown, and like the kitchen table would be like thrown down, and all the stuff that was on it is just on the ground. Like, and there was things where, you know, they started writing on all the walls and the mirrors more. Oh, they painted a mural on the garage door, on the outside of the garage door. And it was the scariest thing in the world. And he kept on changing the mural. And this guy was totally like in a psychotic, manic episode of some kind. And they did tell me that they were on meds. And they were also taking, like, what's it called? For like hormones. They were doing hormone therapy with estrogen. And I was really concerned. They were doing things like writing things on the wall about, oh, somebody asked me why I'm sleeping outside. And it's like, this entire time that I've known this person, I hadn't known them to talk to anybody, to invite anybody over to talk about anybody else. I don't know if this person even knew anybody, had any friends or anything. And it's like, I didn't ask him why he's sleeping outside. He was sleeping outside. He was sleeping outside of the front door outside of the front door on the front porch in a sleeping bag. And I know this because one of the days that I went to leave for work, I almost like stepped on him. But I just went back and I went around the back and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And I just went to work, and it's like, I don't know if it was just like a desperate like attempt for attention or something, but I'm like, I don't.
Probably he's nuts, and he's constant, like you said, constant need for attention, constant need for his ego being stroked, constant need for validation, constant need to make everybody around them uncomfortable, to make themselves the center of attention, to make their shit everybody else's shit. But again, understand why you're in this situation in the first place. It all goes back to your boomer parents. Because the people you live in with are all just different versions of them.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't tell you not to do it. You know, it's your house. You know, it was just weird. And they started like breaking down parts of the fence. This one time I was sitting doing the dishes, and I'm looking at this crazy ass person. There's like this hill, right? And it's like slanted like a diagonal that I'm looking at. It's a road, actually. It's a road that goes up this hill, and it's slanted diagonal as I'm looking at it. And this dude, he's got like a really big boat oar. And he's not wearing any shoes, and he's doing this like dance where he's crisscrossing his feet, but he's like basically standing facing me, and he didn't know I was watching him. He was a ways away, standing facing me, but like running sideways, like crisscrossing his legs back and forth with this huge boat oar, barefoot. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna fall. Stop. And I'm just looking like amazed. And I really should have pulled out my phone, but it was like one of those things, like I felt like if I pulled out my phone, I was going to miss it. And I also don't think it's right to report someone in their house, so I just kind of let it happen. But I just watched him do this, and it's like, this is the amazing thing too, is if I were to ask him what he was doing, he would either like look at me and like not respond, because he would do that a lot. And it's like, okay, well, like that doesn't count. He would tell me like, or he would do like a word salad thing where he would just say words and think that that's an answer, or he would be like, oh, it's training. I'm training for the Olympics. Oh, that was the other thing, is that he was always like talking about that he was going to be in the Olympics. But yeah, it was really something else. But
delusional. Dude, you're living with a delusional crazy person who's a hoarder, just like mom. 5 storage trailers on one property. That's a problem.
I got to take a break. Hang on.
Did she literally take a break and leave it running? Because there's another couple minutes of this. All right, I guess that's the end, because that ended at 37, but it was a 43-minute audio. Okay. You know, it's sad. It really is. It's sad that you have all this chaos, but it's a pattern. You got to see the pattern. It's one hoarder after another, one slob after another, and then your parents accuse you of being what they are or what they made you into. They tear you down for what they created in you. It's just amazing. Understand, you're following a pattern. You're finding just different versions of your own boomer parents, and that's got to stop. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for another contribution and story, Blue Columbine. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the Cash App, Zelle, and PayPal links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care.